Greetings, my name is John Gagan. I am the Science and Operations Officer at the National Weather Service in Milwaukee, Sullivan, Wisconsin. This training video will provide an overview of the GFE procedure CreatePotImages. CreatePotImages uses either the forecast database or the national blend of models to produce probability of weather type imagery. Two types of images can be created, either gridded or station-based. Multiple images can be created over a time range. As a result, be careful not to pick too long of a time range. A 12 to 24 hour period is a good starting point to avoid bogging down GFE. CreatePotImages is located under the Populate menu in GFE and is named PM_CreatePotImages. Upon launching the procedure, a GUI will appear. In the Grid Manager, be sure to select your time range. Remember to keep it respectable, about a 12 to 24 hour range to start. Avoid anything longer than 48 hours. Decide whether you want to produce a station-based graph at a point or a grid plan view of your area. This is an example of the workflow to create a station-based image. So upon launching CreatePotImages, you will choose your time range in the Grid Manager, choose Station in the initial GUI, click Run or Run and Dismiss, select your data source, either Forecast Database or NBM, and click OK. And then at the next GUI, choose your point or points. The list is a pre-programmed list that is done upon installation. So if you see any areas missing, talk to your ITO, GFE focal point, or SUE. That last selection, you can create a custom edit area based on your vet. If you choose custom edit areas, an additional GUI will pop up, and that's on the bottom right. Create your edit area and be sure to provide a name in the GUI and click OK. From there, your GUI will continue to reappear. If you wish to create another edit area, repeat the steps. If you're finished, just select No under the Create Edit Area for Station Graphic option and click OK, and you will move on to the next step. An example of the output is at the bottom left. In this case, a rain-snow mix transitions to freezing rain for several hours before switching back to snow. Note that there is about 16 hours on this graph, which gives you an idea of why it's important to pick an appropriate time range, as you don't want your graphic too crowded. Here is the workflow to create a grid or plan view image of your area. As we talked about before, choose your time range. And then in the next GUI, select Grid and then Run or Run and Dismiss. In the next GUI, select your data source, which is the Forecast Database or NBM, the weather elements you want to create, and your image options at the bottom left, your CWA, state, or whatever other options that you have pre-programmed. And this is where really graphic generation can grow considerably. So take, for instance, if you decide, I'm gonna do all 5 weather elements: pot rain, pot snow, pot sleet, pot freezing rain, and a 4-panel for every hour in my time range. Well, imagine you do that over 12 hours. 12 hours times 5 images is suddenly 60 images created. So you can see how this can kind of get out of hand pretty quick. And it might be wise to run this program a few times over different and short time ranges. This will help your GFE from getting too bogged down. On the screen on the right is an example of the 4-panel output. At this point, we can do a quick demonstration kind of in a live format in GFE. As luck would have it, we do have a little bit of weather in the area that we can show an example. So let's run CreatePotImages over our tomorrow period. So we'll click on our weather grid and go through from 12Z Friday to 0Z Saturday. We go to Populate. We click PM CreatePotImages. And we decide we're going to do a station-based plot. And we'll run and dismiss. And we'll go ahead and use the forecast database. In this particular instance, the snow's really right along our southern border with Illinois. So we'll pick a spot in Janesville and then in Kenosha. And as we click OK, it's going to go ahead and run through the process. And when it's finished, a red banner will appear and let you know that the images have been set to S, in our case, the S drive prob messaging. Whatever your CIFS mounts drive, that's how it'll be programmed. So this may look a little different as far as what directory it goes to. Switching back from GFE to our Windows side of the house, we can take a look at the bar plot now for Janesville, and we can see the probability of a little bit of a mix early on in the day with almost 50% probabilities of rain as we head into the morning hours and about 20 to 30%, even as high as 40% for snow. So this is a great way to show how the chances for mixed precipitation is at a point for a particular event. We'll take a look at a Kenosha here real quick because they're expected to be a little more on the wet side rather than white. And sure enough, that's what our probabilities show. It shows a dominant probability for rain pushing 70, 80, even 90% with just low probabilities for snow. So as you can see, if you get into a mixed weather event, it can really help to show at particular locations, whether it's pre-programmed like we did here, or at custom points based on your event. Maybe a custom point will help you out. And it shows over a nice time range what the probability of different precipitation types are like. Switching back over to GFE, we can do a quick example of doing the plan view or gridded plots. And we just go back to opening PM CreatePotImages. And this time we'll click grid and we'll just keep our same 12 hours of time range here. And we'll go ahead and hit run and dismiss. We'll do it off the forecast database. And we're not really expecting any freezing rain or snow. So let's do a 4-panel pot snow and pot rain. So remember, with these 3 selections in 12 hours, that's going to be 36 images. Now, it's also 36 images for the MKX domain and the Wisconsin domain. But it's really just in southern Wisconsin. So we could cover this in the MKX domain and really keep our number of images tempered. But you can see how quickly the number of images can really grow if you do multiple zoomed in options as well. So we'll go ahead, click OK, and we'll check the output. Okay, we are back to the Windows side of the house, and through the miracle of pausing, about 10 minutes elapsed. So that's how long it took for the images to be created and then be sent over to the CIFS mounted drive on the Windows side of the house. Again, ours is SPROB messaging. Yours will likely be different, but I at least wanted to show how many images we created here. So this is a hefty number. So we created about 36 images in all. And we'll just show an example here. We'll look at a 4-panel for, let's take a look at, looks like 13Z. And you can see here, this is, so 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, you can see where the rain chances are greatest over in the far, far southeastern part of the state. We even have some minor probabilities of some freezing rain, about 20%. And then widespread lower probabilities of snow as we go back further to the northwest. Nothing for sleet. But you can see this is a great example of how you can show multiple probability of weather types in complex situations. This one, mainly a rain to snow type event, maybe a little bit of freezing rain if temperatures are right at freezing to start the day. But if you take a look later in the day, we'll look at a 4-panel from, say, midday. And now you can see that we really have the more widespread rain chances in the southeastern part of the state, especially as we go along the warmer lakes. And those snow chances more prevalent, more inland. And just some very, very small light chances of freezing rain. So the bottom line here is this program is pretty powerful to give a good graphical representation of your probability of weather types over a period of time. If you have any questions, certainly email myself or Jerry Wiedenfeld, our ITO. The big things to remember here, Don't choose huge time ranges. It will definitely bog down your system and take a longer time to get you those images. Be strategic, be targeted, kind of know your situation. When you're talking about whether you're looking at multiple precipitation types or just one or two dominant types, the four panels are great to show a great overview, especially if people do have concerns about sleet or freezing rain. And finally, the great part about this program is it's not just using the forecast database in GFE. You can also use the national blend of models, probability of weather type information. So very powerful tool. If you have any questions, our emails are on the screen.